Hello. Get that light out of there. Ugh. What a day. What a few days. It's just been nuts. I never thought I'd be so mentally unstable. No matter how hard you try. I must have did something really bad when I was young, or when I was in a past life. That's all I can think of. Ugh. Let's see. I'm gonna start from last Wednesday was a good day. Don't know why, but it was. Tuesday was okay. Anxiety was lowering. Things were calming down. Wednesday was one of the first days that I kind of felt like I felt before I fucked up the Remeron. So now looking back, it was that's my good day now. And then when I woke up on Thursday, hey, de facto. Thanks. I woke up Thursday and I could tell it starting. My anxiety was just creeping in all day. Just weird shit, feeling weird all day. And I'm like, come on. I was ready to go to my girlfriend's parents for Christmas Eve on Friday. So when my anxiety is really high, that's what stops me from sleeping because it always affects me when I'm about to fall asleep. So that night was one of the scariest nights I've had in a long, long time. The flashing and movement in my head was so insane, and the anxiety just going nuts. I'm sure it was. I'm sure there was the anxiety that was fueling it. And I slept only a couple hours. I'm like, fuck, man, that sucks. And I wasn't gonna not go. I was just gonna go to the Christmas thing no matter what. So I'm glad I did, but man, was it hard. Being in one of these type of waves is absolutely dreadful. It's one of the waves that scares you to death. I was just in an acute style wave, literally not even 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, maybe. And then it broke, and I had like a few days where I was calming down. Everything was getting normal. Wednesday, I was fucking hopeful. I'm like, thank goodness, And then something happened, and I have some ideas why, maybe, but I'll get into that in a little bit. Um, so made it through Christmas Eve dinner and everything. I didn't do anything but sit and watch TV like most of the day. It was a 2-hour drive, and honestly, it could have been worse. I didn't. I still felt terrible, but it's the more anxiety of you could. You never know. Anything could be with this. But my girlfriend wanted me to drive partially home, and I said I'll do it if I can, but I'm not gonna say I can because she wanted to have a few drinks, and you know what? I try to do my best to have her be able to live a life she wants. So I managed to hang out most of the day, um, and it was tolerable. It was hard, but it was tolerable. Sometimes when I don't sleep, like I get clearer in my head, and then it crashes the next day, of course. But so on the way home, I drove for an hour, which is partially the reason probably I'm in the state I'm in now. But I drove for an hour, which was the longest I've driven on highway roads from Indiana to Wisconsin. I haven't done that in 5 years, you guys. I'm more mentally unstable now, and I drove. So, I mean, the lower I get on Remeron is the more I'm open up, but I'm feeling, but my brain is doing some really new, weird, wicked shit that I haven't really experienced, only in little areas. And it's hard for me to get used to. I'll get into what they are. But anyway, so I drove for an hour. I couldn't drive anymore because it started to rain and it started to get really foggy. I mean, so foggy you can only see feet in front of you, you know. Thanks. I appreciate that. I'm really proud of myself for that. And honestly, being in such a horrific wave, easily one of the worst waves I've been in years. Scariest wave. Hence why my anxiety will not let up. Let up a little bit today, but hopefully it's on a path down. But thank you for that. I really appreciate it. I haven't done that. I mean, the most I've driven in the 5 years was 40 minutes, but that was when I was, that was before I fucked up the Remeron, and I started doing that like once a month. But this, I'm in a horrible wave, and I'm literally driving 80 miles an hour. It wasn't easy by any means, but I could do it, which is totally bizarre. Yeah, it's like it's good to hear others say, that's awesome because I was super proud of myself. And it's like what's really weird about it, it's an improvement, but yet my symptoms have gotten worse. So there's like something in my brain that's improved and some parts of my brain that are worse. So we'll see. We'll get there, I guess. So she drove the rest of the way just because, it was, it was so foggy outside. It was actually unreal. And I had to think to myself, it's like the one time I drive, it's like, are you seriously going to give me rain and fog on fucking Christmas Eve? Hey, Dylan. Well, I don't feel any better per se. I mean, something in my brain has gotten better the lower I've gotten on Remeron until I fucked up the Remeron. But there's something that lets me do certain things better. I'm not as paranoid, but it's hard to explain. I just don't really understand it. But right now, so anyway, that was Christmas Eve. And then Saturday, I woke up with the anxiety was still really intense. Not a surprise since I completely, drove a lot and went through a Christmas dinner with being in a horrific wave. I was sitting there thinking, you know how you can like look at a certain date, like you'll sit on Thanksgiving and you'll know, like, you'll be like, I was better last year or I'm better this year, I was sitting there thinking, God, I'm so much worse this year than I was last year. Which totally sucks. But then again, I couldn't have driven an hour last year. So some things are better and some things are 100 times worse. Thanks to my fuck up on Remeron. That's why. And my tapering is it's a complete fucking disaster. It's way worse than expected. So Saturday was, what a fucking day that was. I'm scared to close my eyes basically from the madness that goes through my head. It's just constant flashing and movement. And sometimes it's a little calmer. So I'm hoping, with the anxiety and the symptoms, once they calm down, that'll probably calm down too. But it's scary because it's never been that intense. On that Thursday night when I was going insane, scared me to fucking death. And hence why my anxiety just fucking tore me a new asshole. Because it's always so different. Always so different. So then today I woke up and my body was just shaking. And normally I shake on the insides, nervous system stuff, but this is like this was like really old school symptom for me, where like when I move my arm, I shake the whole way, move my neck, I shake the whole way. And so it's definitely gotten worse a little today. The anxiety's a little better today, so I'm hoping it's trying to change for the better. I had a lot of like really good feelings come over my body, like those chills you get and you feel real good for a second, you know, like, oh yes. I had like 5 or 6 of those today. So I'm hoping that is a good sign. I have no idea. But as I say with most of my waves, if I can get through this fucking wave, I probably shouldn't be scared of any other wave, because this one I can't even go out for work. It's nuts. Yeah, sleeping issues for sure. When my anxiety is really high, I cannot get to sleep, just because once I start to fall asleep, my body starts to vibrate, my brain starts to vibrate. Let's see. Any diet or anything? No. I mean, no, I can't say there was. It's hard to say, just because I know with my diet, it's always the same. But when I'm in a total wave, sometimes it's like you can't tell if you can actually eat the same shit you normally do. It's just weird like that. Yeah. But it's weird when it's years later, like a symptom that I haven't thought about in 4 years, and then it's popped back in. But it's really weird. But I had like, I mean, literally, it's just Sunday right now. Just literally last Wednesday was one of the best days I've had in about 9 months since I fucked up Remeron. And then right after that, it was a pure crash. Now, I said earlier that I might know a reason, and I can't say this is positively the reason, but it's a good tip for anybody who's doing dry tapering. Either way, so I've posted it in a couple pages, but I never calibrated my scales every day. I just started doing it literally right earlier last week. And I usually use 2 scales, but I don't do it all the time, just to go back and forth. But I noticed when I started calibrating my scale, it's never really right on. It's like I put the weight on, say it's 10,000 grams, and it'll be like 10,003 or 9,996. I'm like, fuck, that's kind of a lot off. And then I'll calibrate it, and it's still a little up and down, but it's close enough. I have another scale which is really not as sensitive, but I can usually get it to work at my weight of 1.1. But I'm wondering if, now that I started calibrating it, I'm wondering if I took a drop, and if it was like a raise in dosage, I probably wouldn't be feeling these weird symptoms. But I might have been a drop in medication that I didn't expect to do, and I don't really know. But from now on, I'm going to calibrate every single day and go between 2 scales, just to make sure. Oh shit! Hi, Marvin. Yeah, sometimes you got to be careful with what you eat, but if you can tolerate it, you'll get through it. It's not like, my waves lately have been these acute style waves that have just been absolutely horrendous, and they scare me, and they end up bringing on major anxiety. And once that major anxiety comes in, that brings out all the bad symptoms. So I need better ways to deal with this anxiety. I can probably get through this okay, but I've been having horrible intrusive thoughts. Horrible. I've always had them a little bit, but I could usually get away with ignoring them. But now being on the lower dose and how much my nervous system's just shut, I'm constantly thinking about like really scary shit. And then that brings my fucking anxiety out of control. And it's so stupid. It's such a little piece of medicine I'm on. And it's just become an absolute torture. I don't want to be a statistic where I have to, where I get cold turkeyed off this shit. But goddamn, I'm so sick of the torture of it. I'm so sick of it. I mean, let me see when I tapered last. And it's been a while. 2 months and 23 days. And I'm still getting this horrific fucking acute style waves back to back. So it's either I did something wrong or I'm still getting bombarded just because I tapered a small amount. Yeah, who knows? It's hard to tell. It's hard to tell. But the intrusive thoughts have been overwhelming. They're throwing my anxiety even worse and depression. And it's just the lower dose. It's like when I was on the higher dose, when I got off benzos, when they put me on the higher dose of Remeron, I had anxiety, but it was like this chemical different. I didn't have depression. But as I got lower and after I fucked up the Remeron a little bit, it brought on a depression I've never had. And that's making everything way worse because when the symptoms are really horrific, usually you can get by if you're not severely depressed or anxious about it. But if you're super depressed and super anxious, those symptoms are just 100 times worse. But the shit that's moving in my head so fast, and I have visual snow syndrome, and right there, that alone has making my intrusive thoughts really bad because it's progressed so bad, and it's progressing more and more because of my nervous system. And the longer I'm on this shit tapering, is the worse it seems to be getting, and it's making my mental status like really scarily bad. So that's where I'm at. I'm going to head off here in about 5 minutes. So if you got any questions, feel free to ask. Trigger warning. It's like intrusive thoughts. I've always had them to a point. Little bits. But like now, it's like things get so scary, and I know anxiety really brings on the intrusive thoughts, and then it's just a bad cycle. But it's like very suicidal stuff. It's like I don't want to think that stuff. I don't even, I don't want to go there. But my brain just keeps giving me these images of me blowing my friggin' head off, getting it over with. And it's like, that's not what I want. So I know it's an intrusive thought because that's not what I want. But it's like, I want it to be over. But that's the image it continually gives. So sorry if that triggered anybody, but I'm just being real. I want these videos to always be a documentation of what's going on. Because if I make it through all this without just dying, I want people to see that, I've had these issues and I've come out, the other side. So, yeah, we'll see. Yeah, it is it's my anxiety is so much worse now. After I fucked up the Remeron, yeah, early on for me too, after benzos, it was really bad. But now that I'm like almost Well, it's like I still have a couple of years left, probably on the Remeron, but probably more than that. But now that I'm on a lower dose, it's getting bad. But it's like, am I really going to have to deal with this for years to come? God, I hope not. I'm going to lay low and not taper again for a little while. It's funny because just Wednesday I was thinking about tapering again. I'm like, I think I'm going to get to that point soon if I keep feeling okay that I can taper again. And bam, I got into one of these acute waves again of symptoms that I haven't even felt before versus even things that I have a long time ago. And what drives most of it is anxiety. And I was just saying not long ago is I'm sick of people telling me I just have an anxiety issue because that's not true. But like right now, it's like the anxiety is fueling this. So yeah, we'll see. But it's getting rough, that's for sure. You're right, Marvin. Thanks for the reminder. That's one important thing, and I haven't told my girlfriend about. One important thing for me for my survival is reminders. I don't know everything, and even the things I do know doesn't mean I'm going to remember them all at every moment. Some people got to stop thinking I'm some sort of genius just because I've been here for 5 years suffering. I don't think of everything. Like what you just said, that's very simple. We all know that, but it's good to hear sometimes because it's like, oh yeah, you know what? It could have just came out of nowhere. It might have not been my scales at all. It might have just been like, hey, you tapered 2.5 months ago, and that was about 10%. I mean, especially after I fucked up the Remeron 9 months ago, my nervous system shot. So it might just not be happy with me. It might be a few more months before I might clear up. I don't know. But if that's the case, I'm not tapering. No way. And I told my girlfriend, I'm not doing it faster just to appease people. I'm not going to. If I want to get out of this alive, sadly, I have to suffer way longer. But if I suffer the way people might put me, in the situation where people might put me in, then I'd probably end up dead from my own doing. And I don't want that. I've already got enough mental issues right now, especially with the visual snow making everything visually worse, along with all the other mental symptoms. It's a complete mess for my head. But yeah, the intrusive thoughts have been brutal. And I'm not one to ever do videos or talk about that because I can usually get through those pretty easy. But it's a lot now. Even when I'm talking, it's happening. Because there's a certain feeling in my body and brain right now that are just so unstable. And most people probably can't even tell the difference from me now to last week, which is fucking crazy to me. But, it's like nobody can tell the difference when I'm really sick versus when I'm not. But doing my best. I do my best to try to be able to communicate well. And I've had a lot of practice. But going to sleep is scary now because I don't know how it's going to go. But I just do the routine. I don't stop the routine. Like I laid down for a nap today, even though I was, my anxiety is bad with it. I mean, the anxiety loop will break eventually once I start sleeping better. But I'm just going to keep doing it. And that's one thing that's important is don't let the anxiety completely control you, even though you're going to have a bad time with it. So I laid down as I normally do. I closed my eyes and I saw the things moving and flashing and the visual snow just going crazy. But it wasn't as bad as it was that one night. And that made me feel a little better. Like, well, okay, it's not as bad. Just like last night when I went to bed, the anxiety tried to keep me up, but I ended up falling asleep and I slept for like a good 6 hours. So I was happy with that. Maybe even a little more. So I laid down today and I think I fell asleep for like 10 minutes. And that's fine for me to take a nap. I actually felt way worse after, but the fact that I fell asleep was a good sign. But it's hard to tell that I even fall asleep when I'm in this situation. When I'm feeling better, usually when I fall asleep, you can, like, I'll wake up and I'll know I fell asleep. No, there's the spam every single time. See that stupid thing? I'll delete it. I'll report it. Come on, commercial spam. Every single time I do a video, there's always some fucking robot that puts a dumb link on them. So dumb. It's really sad. Somebody would actually like put a robot out to like spam people talking about horrific mental health issues. Okay, a couple more minutes. But yeah. I am going to do my best. I'm not as shaky as I was earlier, so I'm hoping that's good. Sometimes it's just way worse in the morning. And it's not just shaky feeling. Like sometimes I can hold my hand out and it not shake so much, but it's just when I move. When I move, my muscles just. That's another thing that was plaguing me for a couple days, and it wasn't as bad today. And I'm thankful. It's in my eyes. Like there's so much going on in my head, it's making my eyes like blink. Like I can't even like close them without like that's part of the thing when I close my eyes. Like I wanna like blink. It's nuts because it's just so crazy. And I haven't had that in years. That was something that happened right after benzos for like a year and a half. So why I'm getting that shit now? I'm just assuming that my nervous system is really, really unstable. So I'm gonna have to just, as much as I hate the idea, I'm on 1.1 of Remeron, all the way down from 7.5, one little piece at a time. 7.4 to 7.3 to 7.2 to 7.1. I made it to 1.1. But these are the hardest. These cuts are absolute torture. Way worse than anything I've ever dealt with. And probably the reason is because my nervous system is so fucking shot. It's taken so long. It's like it doesn't even want to fight back anymore. So like now when I hold, I can't even fathom that I'm going to probably have to move in the summer. I don't even know what I'm going to do. I don't even know how I'm going to do that. I mean, I've done some pretty wild shit in this withdrawal, but with my nervous system being this shot, oh. Man, you take my thoughts and put them into words where I feel a lot better. Thanks a lot, Marvin. I mean, you're right. This is one of those waves where I literally thought many times today and yesterday and the day before that this might be my normal for a while. And it scares me, but I know better, but it's hard when you're in the thick of it. It's hard not to think that it's going to, that it's ever going to get any better. But I will take that and run with it. And I appreciate your support, everyone. I really do. But yeah, it feels like it never will. I don't understand why my waves are as bad as they are now. They're way worse than they've ever been. There's waves that I had that I said if they ever got any worse, I don't think I'd survive it. Well, these waves are at least 10 times worse than those waves ever were. And I'm surviving it. So, and at this point, I couldn't imagine them getting a lot worse because I can't go out for work. I have to wait. And I mean, I'm okay, but when I feel better, I try to get out as much as I can and buy as much stuff as I can to sell. And that usually covers me for my waves. But I have to overdo it when I feel better, which sucks. Alrighty, yo. I'm out of here. You guys have a great night. Always feel better. Appreciate the support, and I will be on tomorrow, I'm sure. Later on.